So for the first option for your major assignment, you can make an analysis of a piece of classical music, in fact it's a Mozart sonata. You need to download the score as a PDF file. I've already done that, of course. You need to listen to the music. It's very important that you use your oral analysis to help you work your way through what's going on in this piece. And you also need to download what I call the analysis template. It's a rich text file, and basically it's a chart, it's a table. It's asking you to identify the various sections of the piece, identify them in terms of sonata form, I'll get that later, but identify the thematic material, the harmony, and make some comments. So let's just look at the very first section of the piece. It begins with a sort of flourish and then a melody. Let's listen to that. Okay, so that's enough for our purposes. So already on the basis of the thematic material, we can start dividing it up a little bit. Bars 1 to 2 are clearly one idea, and then bars 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 are a different idea. So let's annotate that in our harmonic chart. Bars 1 to 2. And then bars 3 to 7. I call the first one A, and the second section B, on the basis of what's going on here. You can and that makes sense. This is the A idea, and it returns, as you can see later on, and I'll let you sort that out for yourself, so I'm not going to do the whole thing for you. And then what I'm going to call melodic material B is this lyrical melody here. You need to make some comments, so okay. You can write all sorts of comments here about, and this is probably the guts of the analysis, is interesting things that you observe about the harmony, about the melody, about the motivic structure, about the rhythm, anything that you think is worthy of comment. So what do I put in that harmony section? Well, this piece is in C major. This first little fanfare, C, G, E, C. It's clearly just an elaboration of the tonic triad of chord 1. So let's call it chord 1. Now in this section, there's lots of chords, and I don't want you to annotate every single little chord. Do observe if there's anything interesting that you want to say about Mozart's use of harmony. Put it in the comment section. In terms of the overall analysis, though, what I want you to do is work out what chord it starts and finishes on. It starts here on chord 1 in first inversion, and it finishes with chord 5 going back to chord 1. Here, this is chord 5. So it doesn't go anywhere harmonically. It starts in 1 and ends up at 1. And that's what you need to notate. So something like this. You'll find that there are other sections of the piece that do go somewhere, that might start in the tonic, chord 1, and end up with chord 5. Finally, it asks you to identify which section of sonata form that might be. I've given you a guide to sonata form, a link to it if you're not particularly familiar. But I'll just suffice it to say that sonata form will open with either an introduction or a first subject, and you have to identify which in this section. Is it the exposition, first subject, or is it an introduction? What's going on here? I'll let you work that out. It should be enough to keep you going.